What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I'm really excited to be starting a subscription for this podcast. Now, that doesn't mean that you need a subscription to listen to this podcast, but the benefits of getting a subscription are no ads like this one, and a shout out on each episode, as well as knowing that your money is going towards doing something good. This money is not meant to go to me. Some of it is meant to help me maintain this podcast and keep getting guests on, but most of it is meant to go towards providing school supplies towards kids in need. It's my commitment to put $3 of every monthly subscription towards providing school supplies to kids in need and helping them achieve their goals and dreams as well. This is a passion of mine. This is something that I really have been pursuing. This is why I have started all this, the podcasting, the books, everything like that, was to give opportunities to other people. So I'm very excited to be able to do this now. The subscription is $4.99 a month, so nothing crazy, less one cup of coffee a month, that sort of thing. But it's very exciting, and it's going towards something that I am really passionate about and believe in. And I hope you enjoy the benefits of being a premium subscriber. There'll also be discounts and things along the way that I'll make available to people as time moves on and as this continues to grow. The link to subscribe is in the description below, so check that out. There's also a link to donate towards the mission of providing school supplies to those in need, so you can do that as well. Thanks again, and enjoy the episode. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Our Travel Experiences. I'm your host, Kyle Rasmussen. And today I have with me Rebecca. Rebecca, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. I'm very excited to talk with you about your travels today. Like I was just saying before we jumped on here, I'm very inspired by what you're doing currently, which we'll get more into. But yeah, this should be a really fun conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Well, very cool. So, right now you're currently traveling around the world for a year solo. Tell
Yes.
me a little bit about that and how that came about.
Yes. So it's a dream that I've had for a really, really long time. I've always had this like over romanticized idea of like traveling the world for a year because I mean, probably who doesn't? Sounds
Yeah.
pretty amazing. And I've always done travel and I work in the travel industry. And I just always was feeling like there were so many more places I wanted to see. There was never enough time. And then there was a lot of factors that kind of went into it. But I think the biggest driving push was there was a lot going on in my life at the time, and I was going through a lot of like depression and anxiety, and I had like a lot of upheaval in my work life, and I really just wanted to do something for me that was going to help lift me out of like the burnout and the depression I was feeling. And I kind of came back to this idea of the world trip for a year because travel is something that always makes me so happy, and it's just such an incredible experience.
Mhm.
And it would just be something that would shake up everything for me. And that sounded really good at the time. And I wanted something to look forward to that was just going to make me feel alive. And I didn't want to like stop waiting around to live life was like such a big push. I'm like, there's all these places I want to see. I don't want to wait till I'm like 60 to see them. I
Mhm.
just want to do it now and do as much as I can. So there was a lot more factors going into it, but I think that was definitely like the main.
Yeah, no, I love that. I think that's a really good mindset to have. I think especially since COVID, I think we see that life is
Oh,
short.
absolutely.
You never know tomorrow, so take that chance if you have it. And
Exactly.
I can speak from experience too. You talked about it's kind of helping you like reset a little bit and kind of
Hmm.
work through some of those things. Um, I think that's something that travel is really good for. Um, you know, you can even just going out on a small trip. I just went to Glacier National Park this past weekend, and just that short little, you know, 48-hour trip was so like relaxing and therapeutic. It helped me like really
Yes.
reset and get energized again for life. So that's really cool that you're doing that for a whole year.
Yes.
Imagine.
Yes. Getting energized for life. Absolutely. I love that. Yes.
Uh, so I mean, planning a whole year long trip has to probably take a lot of planning. How much trip?
Oh my gosh, that has been one of the most challenging aspects for sure. It's a lot. I decided to break it down into 3 month chunks, and I kind of have like a theme. So, like, the first 3 months of my travel was like Central and South America. So, I did that, like all the planning, the booking in like a chunk. And honestly, I'm still like working on my trip. It's like forever ongoing. If I was really organized in my life, I would have done everything in advance, but the time it takes to book and plan and just get all the details, it literally takes me months. So I think I would have had to set aside like literally 6 to 12 months. It's kind of insane. It takes me like 1 to 2 months to plan 3 months, which is just wild.
Yeah.
It's definitely a challenge. There's a lot of moving parts. You know, you're like, oh, I'm staying here, so then I have to figure out how I'm getting here, but also here's all the places I want to go, and there's just a lot of moving parts, so it's challenging.
Mhm. Yeah. And I would guess, I mean, there's, I'm sure a lot of things that, you know, are going to change and, you know, maybe not go exactly as planned throughout that time too. So you got to
Yep.
make adjustments on the fly.
Yep. Yeah, nothing really ever goes to plan. That's like travel, everything goes wrong all the time. I love it.
Yeah. So yeah, how long have you been on this trip?
So I believe I'm about 5 months in. On my
Okay.
stories, I'm about 3 months in because I started posting about a month delayed. And then, as my stories are showcasing right now, I had kind of a health issue and went home for a month and was just at home recovering. So I just didn't post. So I'm a little bit behind, but hopefully I should be catching up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, there's an unplanned thing right there is an illness.
Yeah, it was a really crazy time. Like, you expect to get sick traveling like full time, like that's just something that's going to
Mhm.
happen, but you don't expect like an insane crazy illness, and that is what I got.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, so with you know, with these different, you said you're breaking it down into chunks.
Mhm.
Um, are you packing for like a specific type of like, oh, I'm just going to be like doing a lot of hiking and outdoor stuff on this section, or do you have a mix of things that you're doing in each, you know, section of the trip?
Yeah, packing was definitely another challenge. I wanted to pack carry-on only because I have trust issues with airlines, and I'm like, this is my whole life. I need to not lose my stuff.
Yeah.
And I feel like I have two themes of my packing. Well, the overarching theme is that I also tried to plan a lot of my locations and trips around summer season, which helps, you know, you don't have to have as many like layers. And normally, like, summer is generally like a good time to be visiting a country. So that was kind of like double benefit. So I don't have too many like layers, which is nice. But the double theme would be definitely hiking. I've got like my hiking shoes, hiking clothes, and then I'm extra. And the other theme is like Instagrammable, flowy dresses because I just love that stuff. And it's been really fun to like stand and throw my dress around and make like a super artsy shot. It's been very enjoyable, but it's definitely challenging to have different themes on my trip.
Mhm.
So making it work the best I can. I definitely sit on my bag to close it. So it is packed. I'm actually every time like my friend will be like, I can't believe you packed all this stuff. And I'm like, honestly, I can't either. I feel like I have like a Mary Poppins suitcase.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, that's especially if you're just doing carry on. I mean, that's got to be really difficult to get everything you need
Yes.
into that.
It's so tough, and it's not only that, but it's like I have a carry-on suitcase, and then my bag is like my camera backpack. So like I didn't even have like a second bag to just put extra stuff in because it's just full of gear.
Yeah, so yeah, tell me a little bit about the photography that you do.
Hmm. Yeah, so I've been a photographer for like well over 10 years, and I've kind of dabbled a little bit in everything. I was self-taught and then ended up doing a program for photography, and kind of ended up when I moved back home to the Pacific Northwest where I was originally from. I like really fell in love with the landscapes there and like dove really hard into landscape photography, made a bunch of friends there. It like really helped improved my skills just having that community and like going out every day and shooting all the time. And since that point, it's kind of evolved. I do a lot of self portraits now, which has been a really fun challenge. But I definitely feel like I come at things from like that landscape photographer angle. And so now my content is like travel, outdoors, photography, kind of a theme. But
Mhm.
that's kind of fun for me because I have never liked niching down. So I do like travel can be whatever I want it to be. I can take landscape photos, I can take photos of myself, I can take food photos. It's kind of
Yeah.
nice to not limit yourself, and it helps you stay more creative.
Mhm. And yeah, I mean the landscape and the food and everything is going to change as you travel too.
Yeah. And then my latest addiction has been drone photography. So I've
Okay.
just been trying to bring my drone as many. So there's a lot of countries that it's not allowed. So I have this like awkwardness of like I'm bringing it sometimes, but then I have to drop it off at home other times. But as much as I can, I've been flying that a lot recently, and that's been so enjoyable and like such a different way of looking at things, which has been really fun.
Yeah, I imagine it's got to be some amazing shots that you're getting from that.
Yes. Yeah. I'm
Um,
obsessed.
so uh, I guess with that, as you're traveling to these different countries, I know different countries are going to have different restrictions, or like you have to get a visa, or you don't have
Hmm.
to get a visa, that sort of thing. Have you had any issues, going from one country to the next and making sure you have all the right paperwork?
Not so far. I'm very lucky to have a US passport, which is definitely like a golden passport. There's very few countries that I'd need to apply for a visa for. I did have to apply for a visa for Bolivia, and that was a little bit more challenging of a process, but in the grand scheme of things, like I feel like I can't really complain. And
Yeah.
that one was just tough because the last time I applied for a visa, I think it was like for Turkey, and it was like online, you paid $50, and then like 2 hours later I had my visa, and it was so easy. But Bolivia was really intense because you had to like print out all this paperwork. It cost $160, which is quite a lot for a visa, and you had to pay it in cash. And that was the hardest part, is that they wanted these like perfect $20 bills. So I like went to the bank and like had them, and then of course I'm like traveling for like 3 months to, like with these trying to keep these bills from getting damaged. And like US currency is so easily like ripped and damaged, and they legitimately like didn't accept some of my bills. So it was good that I had extra, and I ended up having to like borrow one more bill from a friend that I made in line, and it was like a whole thing. But it worked out in the end, and thankfully that visa is good for 10 years. So now I'm like, okay, I got to go back and take advantage of it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that's crazy. That seems insane that they would want a perfect $20 bill. I've never heard of that before.
Right? Yeah, like perfect $20 bills. You couldn't pay online. You couldn't submit the application online. It was just all in person, printed everything. Yeah, it was pretty intense. And it was, of
Interesting.
course, it was all happening at 3 a.m. too. So that's like my
Yeah,
memory of it. I'm
always.
like, it was so awful, but like it was probably just because I was really tired and jet
Yeah.
lagged.
That's always the case. I feel like whenever something goes wrong, it's always, 3, 4 in the morning. You're exhausted from a flight.
Yep, of course. Yep.
Uh,
Always, always.
um, how many countries are you planning on visiting during this year?
I started out way too grandiose and it was like 40, which is insane.
Wow.
And now I think I have it pared down to 25, which is a lot more reasonable.
Okay. So that's what a couple weeks in each country.
Yes, it really depends. I'm not staying, the shortest I'll stay anywhere is about 10 days, and the longest will be about a month.
Okay.
So kind of mostly like a 2 and 3 week thing. Which the longer I travel, the more I realize I'm like, man, that is it. It sounds like a lot of time, but it goes by so fast.
Yeah.
And I always feel like there's so much more to see. And every time I slow down my travels, it feels nice, and it feels like I'm doing like balancing things a little better. But my personality is also very much I want to see it all, and I want to do all the things, and I go really hard, like sunrise to sunset. I'm gonna do everything.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I'm like, how many things can I see in one
Right.
day?
Yes. And now I'm sitting here, I'm like, God, I'm so tired. Why am I so tired? I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, it's because I just did 3 days in a row of like a 12-hour day. That's insane.
Yeah. I know whenever I come back and people ask me, like, oh, how are you, like, you're going on vacation all the time. Like you should be rested and everything. I'm like, no, like
No,
I probably work harder when I'm traveling than when I'm back home.
it's so true. And the photography makes it worse in a way because you're like getting up at 3 a.m. so that you can go drive or hike to your sunrise because the lighting's
Mhm.
nice. And then you just scramble, do everything while the morning light is good. Maybe you take a break in the afternoon, but then you're going out for sunset. And if it's summertime, sunset might be at 9 p.m. So it's just like
Mhm.
6 to 9. It's crazy.
Yeah, wild. So you are doing some work on this trip. It's not just all fun and games.
Yeah, I originally planned on taking a year off. I was very burnt out after the pandemic, and just being a creator seems very glamorous, but it's also extremely tough. And I know I was starting to like lose some creative feeling in my photos. I was just shooting so much for brands. And so I really also with this year wanted to shoot for myself and build up that creativity. Um, and it was interesting. I had a different Instagram account that I lost right before the trip. I think I had like 12,000 followers, and I had it since 2016. It was like my baby and all my photos. And so I just freaked out. I was like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. And that was why I started the trip a month behind, because I was like, I mean, I guess this trip truly is all for me. That's fantastic. But a couple weeks in, I decided to start a new Instagram account, which is the one that you found me on. And that one just kind of blew up overnight, which really startled me. And it's been great. I've had some good opportunities coming in from that, which has been amazing. It's also really overwhelming to travel full time and work. So I'm just seeing how opportunities will affect the travel, and if it's something that sounds like amazing and it really like aligns for my audience, then I'll take it on. But otherwise I'm not trying to work too hard, because I definitely want to stay focused on the travel and all the things that were valuable, and kind of return to like my why of this trip. So we'll see how it goes. I was like, oh, I'll take the whole year off, and then I'm not even halfway and I've been like doing a bunch of work. So
Yeah. Yeah,
good.
I'm sure it's hard to turn that off a little bit.
Yeah, and I don't want to say no to things. There's been some great opportunities come up, and it's been really exciting, and it's been awesome to find like amazing community so quickly. I'm really grateful that people really connected with this trip.
Yeah, that's awesome. I didn't realize that you had just started that Instagram account recently, because I mean you already have what, like
Yes.
2,000 followers?
Yes, it completely beat my old account, and I started posting. I think I started the account last year, but I really started posting about the trip in January. So it's not even a year old, and it's doing
Wow.
impressively well. I was honestly was very startled by it. I was like, oh, I'm starting over. It'll be another 10 years.
Yeah, that's wild. Why do you think it blew up so much? Just your
Oh,
content's that good?
literally the secret, it's not a secret, it's just viral reels. And I had a reel that I put together. I did the countdown, counting down to the trip, and I didn't really think much of it. It didn't follow any of the quote unquote rules that you're supposed to do. It's like a minute long. It's not like a short, snappy 5-second thing. I didn't use trending audio. I just like pulled audio over and I put it together. It was really fun for me because it was like a way to get excited about the trip. I was like so stressed going into it because I was like, oh, I have so much more to book. But that countdown kind of like helped get me excited, and post it like a couple weeks later, and it sat for like a week or two, and then suddenly it just like blew up out of nowhere and people loved it. I think like they really did connect with the story of it.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, well now, I mean, I found you on there. I don't remember exactly how I found you, but now I'm invested in this trip. I see like day 42, and I'm like, all right, where's she at now?
Yeah.
I was just looking at the Patagonia. That looks absolutely insane.
It was amazing. Oh my gosh. That one was, so I was really excited about that. I have a strict budget for my trip. I did not follow that strict budget for Patagonia because it's very expensive, but I just had this dream of like spending my birthday watching the sunrise in Patagonia, and I had to postpone that trip because of the pandemic for 2 or 3 years. So when I started planning this trip, I'm like, I'm throwing that in there. I'm doing it. I don't care what the cost is. I'm making it work, and I'm really happy I did. It was fantastic.
Yeah, wow. Are you like going back and forth between the US and these countries, or are you just gone for a whole year?
So I decided to do so with the planning, saying how I was doing in 3-month chunks. That is also how my travel has worked out. I am actually married, which has surprised a lot of people because I'm doing this solo trip, and my husband, he's working on a PhD program, and so he's home. And so when I had approached him about this trip, I didn't want to just straight abandon him for a year, especially when he's in a PhD program. Like, it's already so stressful. But he's been amazing and really supportive of this and of my dream. So what we worked out was that I would travel for 3 months and then be home for a month, travel for 3 months, be home for a month. And so that's the general pattern. And it's actually been really nice. I'm really glad I did it that way. It helped me, like, I didn't change my stuff that I packed too much, but if I needed to kind of like restock toiletries or like change out a shirt, I could. And then since I'm still working on planning, I can come home, like write some blogs, get caught back up on work, book the next chunk. That's been really good. And when I was researching traveling for a year, that's the number one thing that people who did this said, is that you just get so burnt out from traveling. And so I was hoping that if I took a break, here and there, that hopefully by the end of 1 year, I won't be burnt out on travel, and I'll be feeling good about it. And obviously it's really nice to be able to come home and see my husband and my fur baby. And it's been a good way to balance it. I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I didn't really ever think about traveling like that, but that makes a lot of sense to me. From my experience, I think I mean, I did a semester abroad, which ended up being like 6 months of travel, and that was like enough time for me. I was like, yeah, I'm ready to go home and like see my family.
Yes, it's intense. And definitely when I was like wrapping up Central and South America, I was like, okay, I'm definitely ready to like, go home, see family for a little bit. And then, once I...
What's up, everyone? Kyle here. I am super excited to share that my audiobook version of Travel Tips is up now. You can find it on Audible, Libro.fm, and anywhere else that you get your podcasts. Go check it out and buy a copy. It also has 30 minutes, a little over 30 minutes of bonus commentary that isn't in the actual book, so that's a little added bonus. But go check it out. I appreciate all the support, and I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
Had a little break. I was very excited to jump back out and continue the trip.
Yeah, for sure. I think having that balance helps you really just kind of recharge from either one that you're doing, whether you're home or away. Not so much into one helps you stay balanced, I guess.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. So, I mean, do you think your travels have helped traveling solo? Has that helped you, like, I don't know, maybe like connect with your husband differently or in a better way?
Yeah, we've honestly always had this dynamic in our relationship. When we were first getting together, I was literally living in the United Kingdom.
Oh,
So
wow.
that was how our relationship started. But there's always been an aspect of me traveling, and my normal travel is usually travel about once a month if it's a week or two. And
Mhm.
so it's a lot of me being gone, but then a lot of me being back, and it is that balance. And for us, it's worked out really well because the time when I'm home, the time we spend together is so intentional. We value it a lot more. It works for us, and it's definitely strengthened our relationship quite a bit. And I know it's not necessarily like a dynamic that might work for everyone, but for us, it has worked out really well, and it's been amazing. And we also do travel together when he can. Um, that'll be up next on my stories. I did a little trip with him, and he's actually going to be coming out for his Christmas break to meet me later this year, which I'm really, really excited about. So that's been fun. And we have like a very different dynamic when we travel together versus my solo travels.
Yeah, I can imagine. Solo and group travel is completely different.
Hmm. Yeah, and like I said, I go so hard, and my husband's like, "You need to calm down. Like, we're taking the afternoon off," and I'm like, "No, we're gonna miss everything."
We have 24 things on the itinerary. Let's go.
Yeah, and he's like, "I think we should relax." And I'm like, "I don't know what that means."
That's funny. Well, that's awesome. I'm glad that that really works out well for you guys. Um, with with this trip, have you, I guess, learned some things about yourself or grown as a person?
Oh my gosh, absolutely yes. I feel like I'm growing every day. Solo travel just gives you so much time with yourself, and you're just alone with your thoughts so often, and it really just forces you to process things. And coming from like starting the trip when I was in such a like negative headspace until now, it's been amazing to kind of like look back on the things in my life that I felt like, and be able to like have that space, even if it's just like you're on a train and you can just like think about and process things that are going on in your life. But
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like I know myself really well, and then I've been doing certain experiences. I'm like, oh, I never thought I would love this as much as I did. And so it's been really amazing to like discover myself even more when I thought I knew all the things there was to know about me. And that's been really amazing. And travel in general always just makes you grow so much as a person, which
Yeah.
is just always amazing. It just changes how you like see everything. And yeah, it's definitely will provoke change. So don't solo travel if you don't want to grow as a
Yeah.
person immensely.
Yeah. If you don't want to be alone with your thoughts for a little while, I don't recommend
Yeah.
it. Uh, so what's been your favorite, maybe two or three moments on this trip so far?
Oh, definitely an easy standout would be I hiked a volcano in Guatemala to watch another volcano explode at night, and that was just insane. Like, absolutely, I will never forget that. And it also just like reinforced the trip for me too. I was so happy I was able to. So I was thinking like it was such an intense hike. It was at altitude. I'm like, man, I would never be able to do this at like 60 years old. I'm so glad I'm doing this now when I'm in good health and my knees are still good enough. So that was definitely a huge standout. Patagonia was absolutely amazing. That like birthday sunrise was everything that I was hoping, and then more. You know, you can like plan something and see something on social media, like a thousand photos, but being there in person is just somehow even more magical.
Yeah, definitely.
It's just, yeah, indescribable. It was amazing. And there were so many feels going into that.
Yeah. Would you go back and do that again?
Oh, yes. Yes. I would do both of those again easily, happily.
Yeah, in Guatemala, was that near Antigua where you were?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, cool. I love that area. I got to go, gosh, probably like almost a decade ago. I loved it. It was amazing. Just the volcanoes, just everywhere over there, and it's
Yeah.
beautiful. So colorful.
I literally planned Guatemala because a friend of mine was like, Guatemala is awesome. And I didn't really research it that much. I was like, great, sounds good. I've never been, let's do it. And then I was putting together this trip and I was like, oh my God, Guatemala is amazing. And I love adventure travel, and it has adventure travel. Yeah, there's hiking, there's this beautiful lake, you can do all this like boating, kayaking, you can go climbing. Like there's just so much there. It's such a stunning country. It was completely not on my radar, and I would love to go back. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's one that gets kind of thrown under the radar a little bit. It's obviously right next to Belize, and Belize gets a lot of attention, I think, especially from the
Yes.
U.S. But a lot of amazing things. I highly recommend it to anyone.
Same. And another one of my favorite experiences there is they have like such amazing Mayan ruins. Everyone goes to Mexico, which I did as well. But honestly, like I thought Tikal was even more amazing in Guatemala because it's like erupting right out of the jungle, and you just really get this insane sense of I can't believe people like conquered the jungle to create these spectacular buildings and make this like highly advanced civilization, this whole town. It's like an incredible feat of human engineering. It's wild.
Yeah, that's such a amazing how they built all of those things, so thousands of years ago.
Right, and they're all like perfectly aligned for the stars, and they were like predicting all this crazy stuff. It's just amazing. They were so smart and so capable.
Yeah, definitely. What are you looking forward to coming up? Is there some big things you have planned in the next few months?
Yes. Sorry, I had to pause because I'm like, there's so much I'm excited about. I know what I'm really looking forward to is I'm going to be back in Bali, and that's one where I'll stay for a longer period of time. I was there back in 2018, and it was like a really life-changing moment and got me on the path of doing social media and sharing my work more. So I kind of feel like a little special connection there, and I'm just so excited to return there and spend more time because I really loved it. So I'm definitely very much looking forward to that. Yeah, there's a lot I'm very excited about. I don't want to give away too much, but
yeah, that's exciting. I've never had the opportunity to go to Bali, but it sounds amazing from what I've heard. So I'll be looking forward to your Instagram stories on when you're there.
Yes, I recommend it to everyone. I love Bali so much.
Is there a place that you haven't been that's not on this trip that you really want to go to after this adventure is over?
Oh, yes. Because I cut down my country list, I made another list as I'm like, theoretically, if I were to, I don't know, just travel again for another year, where would I go? I have so many countries. I could literally do this for a second year because I have enough countries on my list to visit. But number one that I really want to go to, which I am going to make happen, I was supposed to go to Peru, but at the time of my trip, it was exactly when they were having a bunch of like political uprisings and just a lot going on. And I was waiting to see how things were going to shake out. And unfortunately, it did not work out for me because I really wanted to go see Machu Picchu. So that one will be after my year is technically over, but probably will still be in 2024 because I'm so eager to go there and I really wanted to make it work. So that's probably my number one.
Okay, yeah, very cool. That's definitely at the top of my list as well.
Hmm.
Machu Picchu, you got the Nazca Lines. There's so much there.
And there's so much amazing hiking, and that's like one of my favorite
Mhm.
things. I love the adventure travel. I love nature. I love hiking. If I can get out and like hike a million miles and see even more views, that makes me very happy.
Yeah. What's the longest hike you've done, like on a travel?
Ooh, I'm not sure. I know I've done a 30-mile hike in my lifetime, and that was really intense. That's probably the longest. And I, looking back, I'm like, geez, I don't think I could do 30 miles right now.
Yeah, that's pretty good sized hike, especially if you have a lot of elevation change in there.
Yeah, it was definitely the hardest thing I've ever done. But I think now I probably max out. Probably wouldn't do more than like a 10 miles just because I'm doing so much the rest of the
Mhm.
trip.
Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll be headed to some very like hike-y destinations later, and I was pre-looking at some of the hikes. I'm like, ooh, those are long, but let's do it.
Uh, I'm sure it'll be great. Um, when you're, I guess when you are hiking in these countries or just traveling, do you ever have kids show you around or take you on these hikes, or are you just out there doing your thing?
I'm usually out there doing my thing, which would probably freak a lot of people out, but I thankfully have a lot of experience from doing solo hiking back home in the Pacific Northwest, and there's a lot of things that I'll do for safety. I always research the heck out of something. I always highly recommend All Trails. They're like premium
Mhm.
edition of the app. I have an offline trail map always downloaded. Extra water, extra food, have the 10 essentials, all of that. Um, but just generally being as prepared as possible and also planning for like the worst case scenario. I have a document with all my plans that my family has. They know to expect check-ins, that sort of stuff. But for me, normally I'm often hiking like really early in the day or trying to find that like optimum light. And to go with a guide, I feel like normally they're kind of like in the middle of the day or it doesn't quite work out with my schedule. But that being said, I do group like little group trips or sign up for like small group travels, and I've done some like hikes through there. But generally, I enjoy it better when it's just me and I can stop at the waterfall for a whole hour to take photos if I want, and I'm not
Yeah.
being rushed. I feel like that's the challenge with tours or guides is that photographically I want always more time and
Mhm.
they're like, okay, we're gonna have like 5 stops, and you'll have 30 minutes in each stop, and bing, bing, bing,
Yeah.
bing, bing, because they know people want to see all the top things, and I'm like, no, I really just want to see this one thing. I'd love to just sit there for 2 hours if that's
Mhm.
cool.
Yeah. Yeah. That's pros and cons to everything for sure. Um,
Absolutely, yeah.
yeah. So group travel in 2024, you said that's something that you're planning to do. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, yes. So I had a lot of people reach out who were really excited about my solo travel, but and wanted to try it for themselves, but maybe weren't quite ready to jump in on their own. So I am going to be hosting group trips in 2024. Keep the fun going after my travel year's over, which sounds like it's kind of not really over. Yeah, so I'm really excited. I'll be able to take people along with me, and they'll get to share in experiences of these amazing adventures. And I'm just really excited to like connect in person with all these amazing people who have found me on social media. It's just going to be incredible. I'm really looking forward to that. So those are my big plans for next year. Yeah.
Cool. Do you have any destinations in mind or just whatever people want?
I I do. I have a couple destinations. Probably the most likely one is going to be Iceland because it is the best photo location ever. And I have a couple others on my list, but I also want to make sure that I'm picking locations that people want to go to. So I know I have places I would love to take people to, but I also want to keep that input open so that it's like the perfect trip for everyone and we're doing exactly what people want to do. And honestly, I'm game for pretty much to go anywhere. So
Yeah.
I'll be happy regardless.
Yeah, you're not gonna have to twist my arm too hard to go anywhere.
Exactly.
Well, that's exciting. I'm curious to see how that maybe like changes your trip a little bit compared to this year where you're solo. To leave,
Yes.
I'm sure it's going to be a lot different of a trip.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So, and then you have an ebook as well. Is that right?
Yes, yeah, I just launched it this year. I've called it the Ultimate Guide to Travel, and I just put everything I wish I had known when I started. And it's really great for especially beginner photographers, like beginner novice. I break down a lot of the basics, like shooting in manual, compositions, and go through a lot of different sections. It's like over 60 pages long, super, super in depth. So that's on my website, and I'm really excited with how it turned out. And I've had some good feedback on it, and I definitely want to do another ebook series soon. But yeah, that's the travel photo book that I have available right now.
Okay, that's awesome. How long did it take you to put that together?
I put it together in a caffeine fueled like 2 week span because I was speaking at a conference and I wanted it done for the conference, and I had come home for a little bit and I was like, oh, 2 weeks is so much time. This is fine. And then I started working on it and I was like, whoa, 2 weeks was not enough time. This was like a month plus project. So yeah, 2 weeks. Yeah, did not get a lot of sleep, but I made it happen.
That's awesome. That's as a someone who's an author as well, I understand how hard it actually is to do. Um, but yeah, kudos to you for achieving that and getting that done. That's really exciting, and I'll definitely have
Thanks.
to check it out too because my photography skills could definitely use some work. So any Rebecca, any other stories or tips or tricks that you want to share for someone who might be looking to travel for an extended period of time or just by themselves?
Yeah. Well, I wrote a blog post on some tips for doing your first solo trip. And I think a lot of people are just so excited they want to dive right in. But I definitely encourage people, if you want to solo travel, you can just start small and do like a weekend trip just outside of your hometown. Just do something small and start to get a feel for that and ease in. And that will help you start building up the skills for solo travel. And of course, you can join me on my group trips and I can share even more solo travel tips. And then for long term travel, I think I am just such a planner. So I think my advice would be around just making sure that you plan it enough in advance. You have like everything ready to go. But at the end of the day, I think my advice would be to just not overthink it actually and just go for it because you're
Yeah.
never going to regret taking the trip. Like I can't think of a single travel, even if things have like gone bad or it's been like a horrible trip and I never want to go back there again. I can't say that I've like ever regretted traveling. I think you just have to go for it and take the opportunity to live your best life. And yeah.
Yeah, definitely agree. Honestly, I feel like as long as you got your passport and maybe a
Yeah.
little bit of cash, you can figure a lot of things out from there.
Yes. Yeah, all problems have solutions. They may be challenging or not what you expect, but yeah, things will go wrong, but you're going to make it out the other side and you'll have a great story to tell.
Yeah. Really quick, one thing I forgot I was going to ask about, because you are traveling for a whole year. I know you had a post about this on your page, but talking about budgeting and how you were able to save up for, spending a whole year traveling. Um, can you tell me a little bit about that, how that worked for you and how you were able to, to make that happen?
Yes, it's basically that was just a lot of savings that has been building up for years and years and years. I was working as a photographer for a van company, and I was putting aside a lot of money during that time, putting it aside for travel. But in the end, I ended up saving about 30,000. So that's my budget for the year. I'm definitely over budget right now. So things are a bit more expensive. I think a lot of things have gone up in price after COVID. Every time I look up a blog and they're like, okay, entrance fee is this costs this, I always arrive and it's more than what it was
Yeah.
from the resource I looked at. So that's also something to take note of, is there's definitely been some solid travel inflation. But
Mhm.
yeah, I don't know that I have any good hacks for that other than I was just really diligent, and my husband is amazing at helping us stay on budget, and he has like an incredible spreadsheet that really helps us keep on track, and that's been really helpful. And just like making that a priority, it's just a accumulation of lots of little choices over years, of like, okay, I'm not going to like buy this thing, and I'm going to put it aside for savings. And um, yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I'm hearing is, this has been a goal of yours for a while, and
For many
you,
years. Yep.
yeah, you prioritized it over, maybe some other things that might be important, but
Hmm.
um, focused on making this goal happen, and now you are making it happen. So that's really inspiring and cool to for me to hear.
Yeah, yeah. And I'm
Um,
not special. Anyone can do this, really.
yeah,
You just have to make the choice, which is, it's really hard to do. And it was really terrifying, but you just have to make the choice and just dive in.
yeah. And it doesn't sound like you regret making that choice at all.
Not at all.
I love it. Well, Rebecca, anything else that you want to share with the listeners?
I just want to say thank you to every single person who has reached out, decided to follow any of my journey at all. I have been so grateful and so astounded by the support on this trip. It's been really amazing to connect with so many people. And I hope that everyone continues to enjoy the journey. And I hope that they find my content helpful and inspires them to do a solo trip of their own.
Yeah, love it. I know it certainly has inspired me, and I know it will inspire all the listeners. To all the listeners, you definitely should go check out her Instagram, your website, all of that. And really quick, can you plug those and share where people can find you?
Yes. So on Instagram, you can find me at roaming free Rebecca, no spaces or anything. And my website is roamfreerebecca.com. TikTok is also roamfreerebecca.com. And all of their socials follow that one. The Instagram's just different since it was my Instagram 2.0.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks again, Rebecca. I appreciate the time. I appreciate you, sharing a little bit of your travels, how you made it happen, and just pursuing your dream of traveling the world for a year solo. It's really inspiring, and yeah, just can't wait to see more of your travels in the future.
Yeah, thanks so much. Thank you for having me. It's been amazing to chat about all these.
Yeah, time. We'll definitely have to do it again once you've completed the whole year. I think that'd be a lot of
Yes,
fun.
yes, the follow up.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Rebecca, you have a great rest of your day. Wherever in the world you are, and I look forward to seeing you somewhere around the world soon.
Thank you.
Yep. Have a good one.
Bye.
Hey everybody, Kyle here. If you enjoyed today's show and want more, you can always check out every episode on Spotify, Anchor, YouTube, and now Amazon Music as well. Just search for Our Travel Experiences on any of those platforms and it will pop up. You can also find everything all in one place on my website, ourtravelexp.com. And if you want to see my travel pictures as well as travel pictures from guests on the show, you can check them out on Instagram. The page is called Our Travel Experiences Podcast. And if you want to share your own pictures on the Instagram page or be a guest on the podcast, you can message me via that Instagram page or email me at ourtravelexperiences@outlook.com. I would love to see your pictures and hear about your travel experiences, so please send them my way. And if that isn't enough for you, make sure to check out my weekly YouTube show, From Around the World Fridays. Every Friday, I'm taking 5 to 10 minutes to answer questions from listeners, share some souvenirs that I bought over the years, share my postcards over the years that I've accumulated, or share videos and pictures from one particular city or country that I visited, and so much more. So check it out, guys. You won't be disappointed. And make sure you go subscribe to that as well. Thanks again for listening, and I'll see you somewhere around the world soon. Thank you to all the listeners and subscribers of this podcast. It's amazing that I get the opportunity to do this and, talk to all of these amazing people around the world and hear their stories and share it with you. It's been a dream doing this. It's a lot of fun, and I'm excited to keep moving forward with it. As always, the subscriptions, $3 of the monthly subscription goes towards providing school supplies to kids in need around the world. And I'll be providing more updates on those, on progress with that as time moves along. But again, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you next week for another inspiring story and great episode. Have a great week. See you next time.